The ear of Americans, Sirius XM host Joe Madison.
Hi, how are you?
And in this corner, syndicated talk radio host Joe Fredericks. Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks for coming in on a Friday. John Fredericks, sorry. John Fredericks. John, you heard what Layla reported about Puerto Rico, the power situation there actually getting worse. President sending mixed signals about his intentions to help those Americans rebuild. Does he understand how dire the situation is?
Yeah, Don, I think so. The president has made a tremendous effort with FEMA. You know, we've got over 12,000 U.S. personnel there on the ground. We've got generators coming in. The United States people have donated millions and millions of dollars in many different ways. We got the aid coming in. He's done everything that he can do. But I think what the president pointed out today is some of the problems in Puerto Rico go beyond the Hurricane Maria. They had a grid system that was not upgraded for a very long time. This was a disaster waiting to happen. It's going to take some time. And I think the president also believes in accountability. The government of Puerto Rico has to be accountable to some of the issues that have gone on there, that they have not addressed financially. They have not made the investment. And as far as the mayor of San Juan coming out in her Fidel Castro outfit the other day, blaming Trump for everything under the sun. Look, she's obviously running for governor. She can't get out of the way of any camera in order to get PR for herself. Here's the question with the mayor of San Juan. She's not provided a single solution. If she got on CNN and said, look, these are the 5 things that we have to do. These are the 5 things that we have to do. 5 tangible suggestions that will aid the people of Puerto Rico. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give me these. That would be something else. So all she does is complain in order to make.
I don't know what her outfit has to do with it. I don't know how this became a rant about the mayor.
Thank you.
Kind of offensive, John. But go on.
You know, thank you, Don. I mean, how petty can you be when you live on an island? As you just heard, someone said this is a humanitarian disaster, and you're talking about how someone is dressed. When you have people on that island who right now are drinking tainted water, disease is on the rise. And the reality is that I think, and I've said this on the air, and most of my listeners have agreed, that if the United States treated this like, and I'm going to say it, treat it like it's a war. You know how we move troops and material into a country when there is war? We just saw the Vietnam of Ken Burns' piece and how helicopters and troops and material were moved into places there were nothing. This is what you do in Puerto Rico, but you do not pour salt on open wounds, and that's exactly what John just did.
So, I mean, there's no electricity. She's wearing a hat. Maybe she can't do her hair. Maybe that's the only clean clothing she has is that outfit. I don't, you know, do you want to take that back about her outfit? I mean, that's
yes, I will take that back. I will grant you that. But I will say this. She has come on TV over and over and over criticizing President Trump and the Trump administration for what she says is an inadequate response to the humanitarian disaster that's going on in Puerto Rico. She has yet to get a single
hold on, John. She's not the only one. There are people there on the ground who are saying the same thing to people who live there, and there are also people who have gone there to help who are saying the same thing about the response, that from what the administration, what the president is saying, is complete opposite of what is actually happening on the ground.
Why are we worrying about hurting? Wait a minute. Why are we worrying about hurting the feelings of the president of the United States when we're talking about children who don't have food, seniors who don't have Madison? Think about what we're doing up here, men. We're looking at an island where 91% of the people don't have electricity. Right now, we're in a bright studio. They're in the dark. And you think I'm going to sit here and worry about Donald Trump's feelings? Give me a break.
Who's talking about his feelings?
You just did. Yeah, I mean, that's what you said. She's criticizing Donald Trump. He's a big boy. He can handle himself.
Criticizing Trump and the administration. That's
Who cares? Who cares?
Give me some solutions. Because the
actually, in an interview, John, in an interview with me,
give me some suggestions.
In an interview
treat it like you treat war. When we're at war, we move earth and heaven.
Offered suggestions. She said she needed more water. They needed more supplies. They needed to get the electricity back up. She's actually offered some suggestions. She said, I don't understand why they can't get the supplies and the suggestions that we want, the things that we need to us, to Puerto Rico, which is not that far from the United States. I mean, we've got a big arsenal here of not only military, but also services, emergency services to help out Americans.
Treat it like a war.
The administration has flown in truck drivers. They've flown in water. They've got, it's a very difficult situation there. But the reason why we're having this discussion is because Trump and the Trump administration's response is being blamed for some kind of inadequacy in how they're handling Puerto Rico. And so what the president is saying is, look, we're doing everything that we can.
That's the point. It's not, they're not doing a great job at handling Puerto Rico, and they're saying that they are. They're not there. They don't live there. The people who are on the ground are saying that they're not doing a great job. So essentially, they're not telling the truth. And maybe you don't want to believe that, but I believe the army of correspondents who are there, the army of military people who are there, the army of emergency workers who are there, the tens of thousands of Puerto Ricans who live there and who have fled, who are saying that the relief effort has not been adequate, at least on the part of the Americans. Why wouldn't you believe those people? Why wouldn't you believe tens of thousands of people instead of one person whose reputation is on the line? Of course he's going to defend himself.
It's the entire United States response apparatus that is being blamed. We have 12,000 FEMA people there. I mean, we have an army of people there.
Maybe we need 20,000.
Well, maybe we do need 20,000. But it's not like, look, Don, we wouldn't even be having this discussion if really the argument was, okay, what do we have to do in order to make this work, right? What the argument is, the whole premise of tonight's piece is Donald Trump has failed Puerto Rico because he doesn't like Puerto Rico.
They're telling
That's what they're saying because they're politicizing it.
Well, gentlemen, if I can get in here,
politicizing it is saying that you're not doing a good job. Go on.
You're politicizing.
I'm not at all.
Please let me get a word in just edgewise for a moment here. Look, it's one of the problems you have, and since we're talking about words, you know, the President of the United States made a serious mistake when he said we can't be there forever. First of all, no one expects the FEMA to be there forever. What you do in a situation like this is that you give people hope, and the hope is we'll be there for as long as it's necessary. That's what people in a disaster wants to hear. They don't want to hear as if somehow they are a burden. And that's what is coming across. The people of Puerto Rico are not a burden. And again, if this were a hot war, and I'm sorry to keep going by this, we would move heaven and earth. So let's go to war against Mother Nature and what she did, and then worry about the infrastructure after we feed people and save people, but quit bringing up what it was like before the hurricane. That's the most ridiculous argument that we can present.
All right, stay with me, both of you. When we come back, the president taking aim at NFL players for what he calls disrespecting the national anthem. But if he is so adamant about respect for the military, why hasn't he spoken out about the 4 U.S. soldiers who lost their lives in Niger? President Trump has yet to say anything publicly about the deaths last week of 4 American soldiers who were ambushed by ISIS fighters in the African nation of Niger. Back with me now, Joe Madison and John Fredericks. So, John, on October 4th, 4 American troops were ambushed and killed by ISIS-affiliated terrorists in Africa. Here are their names: Staff Sergeant Dustin Wright, Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson, Staff Sergeant Brian Black, and Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. President Trump has hasn't spoken or tweeted one word about their death. Why is Trump silent about the sacrifice of these brave men?
Well, he shouldn't be, Don. He should be tweeting about them, and he should be offering the nation some attention to these people. Don, there's a bigger problem here, and the real problem is we have 4 Americans coming home in body bags. We've got a war in Afghanistan that we've been in for now 17 years. The president just reauthorized another 5,000 troops. We have no AUMF, no authorization of military force whatsoever. This thing, people and the president himself have become simply callous to the fact that we're in these perpetual wars that go on forever, and our young men and women come home in body bags, without arms and without legs, and we blow it off.
But
and the president, every time someone comes home, the president should be front and center, and understanding that we're in these conflicts all over the globe for no reason, with no authority.
More to the point, Joe, and I know you want to weigh in. No, since October 4th, when they died, the president has tweeted 87 times. He's tweeted about 22 times about the media or fake news, 10 times about tax reform, 6 times each about Las Vegas and Puerto Rico, 4 times alone about Senator Bob Corker, but not a single tweet about these slain soldiers.
And let me tell you, and here's the common thread. Every last one, especially those multiple tweets, it's always when he has been attacked. This man is I. It's just like Puerto Rico, what I've done. Not what we've done, but what the country has done, but what I've done. I agree, I agree with John. He should do it. I think there's also a problem there, John, with his staff, because it's up to the staff to bring this to his attention. It's up to the people, Department of Defense, the Secretary of whatever state. I mean, it's not only he hasn't said anything, no one in his administration has said anything. Now, I hate to say on this airway that maybe it's because it's Africa, but you know what? And my audience thinks that has a lot to do with it. But the common thread is whenever someone talks about this man, whenever he gets his feelings hurt, he'll be up tonight tweeting us.
At the Value Voter Summit today, President Trump talked about patriotism and the flag. Let's listen.
We treasure our freedom. We are proud of our history. We support the rule of law and the incredible men and women of law enforcement. We celebrate our heroes, and we salute every American who wears the uniform. We respect our great American flag.
It is important to remember that on October 8th, just days after the deaths of these Green Berets with Trump's blessing, that the vice president staged a walkout from the Indianapolis Colts game over players kneeling during the national anthem. If he feels so strongly about the NFL players, what they're doing during the national anthem, why wouldn't he be talking about the Green Berets killed in action? Because that's certainly saluting the military.
Let me go first with this, and that is because, and I'll say this, hashtag, he's a cafeteria patriot. You know, what he does, he picks and chooses that which he thinks it symbolizes patriotism. He's a cafeteria patriot. And the reality is those players who take a knee, high school students who take a knee, they're just as patriotic as the founders of this country who stood up and protested against an entire king and a country. So patriotism comes in all forms. And maybe if he was so patriotic, he would have served when he had an opportunity to defend this flag.
John?
Joe's got 50% of it right, Joe. I want to get back to your last segment, which I really thought, Joe, you were spot on.
But I want you to respond to this point, though. I think.
Give me 10 seconds. Just give me 10 seconds, Joe. When you said his staff isn't doing anything to make him honor these men and women, that's because his staff is completely dominated by neocons that perpetuate these wars. So bringing attention to people dying brings attention to the wars. That's really the issue. As far as Joe.
He's the one that selected them.
Yeah, right. Go on.
Well, look. We're
and he doesn't have a problem.
So John, the national anthem and the Green Berets. So why is he obsessed with that? And to Joe's point about what real patriotism is, it's not wrapping yourself in the flag. And as a matter of fact, you're not supposed to wrap yourself in the flag.
Well, if you get to the football players, look, my family and I were going to the Washington Redskins game in Landover, Maryland on Sunday, right? I want to enjoy the football game with my family. My 13-year-old is going. We're fired up. We're football fans.
They're not kneeling during the football game. They're actually playing football.
I tell you what, we are going to, my family and everybody else in that stadium in Washington, and Landover, Maryland is going to stand up for the national anthem. We're going to take off our Redskins
No, they won't, because if I'm there, I'm not going to stand.
The fans are going to stand up, and they're going to.
No, they won't. Everybody's not going to. Hey, look, I'm from Washington.
Joe, I tell you what,
I guarantee you, everybody is not going to stand.
You are so out of touch with this. You
And,
know what, Joe?
and
You are
there are going to
so
be
out of
people
touch with
at the
this.
concession stand.
You
There are going to be
have
people in the
absolutely no
bathroom.
clue
Drinking a
what is
beer.
going on.
People drinking a beer.
People
There's going to be people
don't
walking to the
want you really-
stand. There's going to be people walking from their cars.
Thank you.
Come on, let's get
Come on,
through
John.
it.
They wanna
Thank you,
honor-
everyone.
They want to
We shouldn't have to
the
do it at
flag
the
and
game
national
anyways.
anthem.
We shouldn't have to do it at the game.
You
It's
know
not
what?
a military
You know
event.
what? You guys are so far
When we
off
come
base.
back,
This
new
is why
developments
Trump
in the
is gonna win
investigation
again.
to the Las Vegas massacre. Police changing the timeline again. We're going to bring you the latest next.